Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self love, self care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. I'm Lady Bounce, and today we are joined by a special guest. I know, Jay is funny about being called Mr., but it's respect. I have to say, Mr. Chango Rising. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all having me, man. Shout out to the Fly With Us podcast. I definitely appreciate y'all. The one time that I came up there and watched Jazz do it live, I was like, oh man, the energy is dope. So I definitely appreciate y'all having me.
Okay,
Definitely.
so before we get involved, let me introduce you to the people. You are an intuitive reader, a psychic healer, you are a budding medium, as you call it, and you are a tarot card reader. I recently used a reading from you, and it was on point, and I was like, oh my God, because I haven't talked to you in forever, so for you to be spot on,
right?
That was on. I like that. That was all right.
The cards be knowing, man. The cards be knowing.
They do, because it was definitely spot on, and I'm working on that conflict that we talked about. That you saw. I'm working on trying to work it out.
That's what's up.
So, my first question is, when did you know you had this gift? Like, how do you know? You just woke up and...
Well, to be honest, I've always known it was something. Like, when I was younger, I used to have like these visions of things, and I never know where they come from, but like I used to see things before they happen. And that's not even like my main like Claire, but I used to always see things before they happen. I'm like, wow, that's that, and then boom, like that happened. So like I've always known, but about 2.5 years ago, Jazz had bought me a deck, and she was like, I think you'll be good with these tarot. She bought me a deck of tarot cards. She's like, you know what, I think we will work well with these. And then I started messing with them, and I woke up. I was reading a book called Poverty Consciousness by my guy Chris Enlighten. Shout out to Chris Enlighten. He's dope. Just talking about information and anything. He kind of like he wrote the book called Poverty Consciousness. I read the book, and then when I got done reading the book, I got up on Facebook and was like, I'm gifting readings today, and that's how it happened.
Wow. So I follow you on Facebook, obviously. Talk to us a little bit about becoming stagnant in our lives. Like, what does that look like, and how do we recognize that?
So when you become stagnant, you can, like with me personally, I just start, I'm an overthinker. So once I start to overthink, and once I start to sit and think about the same things versus putting action to it, that's when I know I'm becoming stagnant, where I try to take inventory, like, okay, we've had the same thought, or we've had the same train of thought, like, let's put some action behind it. A lot of times, and it's just fear. I know with me, it's fear. It's like, I don't know if this outcome is going to be, how I want it to be. I don't know, what's going to happen. So the fear of not knowing what's going to happen, or not having control, usually causes stagnation. And that's just from my perspective, me personally, because it's like, if I don't know, if I'm not clear on what it is that I'm on my direction, I just sit here, and I'm a Gemini Mercury for all my astrology is, or Mercury and Gemini. So that means that the way I think is like it's in the Gemini, like in that Gemini energy, which is all mental air energy. So it's like I can take a simple thing and I can make it so complex with my thoughts. So with me, I know it's fear from trying to not being able to control situations, and it leads me to overthinking.
Now, I can attest to that. My birthday is June 13th, so I'm Gemini all the way.
Right.
and that overthinking is real. It's real. I can come up with a whole scenario with the dialogue to go with it, write the script, and then I'm thinking, you're preparing for what?
What? You're preparing for whatever you. This is just the movie and just running in your head. That's all.
Right. Yeah, I've had people tell me that my whole life. Like, did that really happen, or is that your script? And I'm like, okay, well, never mind. So How do we avoid that then? How do we avoid that stagnation from that overthinking?
I think we just gotta actually know that it's overthinking, and that it's actually something that we're doing out of fear. Like once we recognize that there's fear, instead of trying to, run away from it or go around it, we just got to face it head on and see what we can do, and what action we can take to actually confront it and not have it linger off in the back versus, you know what I'm saying? Because then when it lingers, we put it off. That's when the overthinking. So it's like the further you are away from it and you're thinking, you put it off, it's like that's the further you get, that's the more stagnant you become. So it's like really just knowing what it is that you have to do and then just do it. I mean, that's how what works for me. That's one of the things that I can do, because even now I'm telling you this, it's things that I'm stagnant in. It's things I need to get better in. So it's good for me to actually, I'm glad that you're asking me these questions. So the things that I'm stagnant in, I can go ahead and put action to and stop being stagnant in them.
I think we all do that. We get so caught up into, living our lives, and you're functioning through life. You're not doing bad, but you're functioning. And then you look up one day and go, wait, I had a dream about, or I had a thought that I wanted to, and then you like, okay, now I got to move. I got to figure out how to make it move. So yeah, I've been there, done that. So when you talk about quieting your mind and you're sitting and you're trying to meditate, first of all, how do you quiet your mind? And then what do you do when the noise creeps in while you're trying to quiet your mind?
With me, a lot of times, my main quiet mind technique is driving. Like I'll drive, I'll cut the radio off, and I'll just zone out. Like, and I'll just have all these thoughts, and I'll think about things that, I could do better, or things that I should be doing. It's really like a waking meditation. Because like when you meditate, when I meditate like on purpose, when I'm just sitting here, like when there's nothing going on, I'll try to just not, like I'll try not to think about anything consciously, but the things that come up subconsciously, I just kind of like observe them and let them go on. When I'm driving, it's like, it's kind of the same thing. It's like I'm observing these thoughts. So then it's like, what I'm trying to do is take heed to the things that come up when my mind is quieted, so I can kind of focus on that going forward. Like, okay, what kind of action do I need to take with these things that I was thinking about, or how can I, just take a different angle, or because basically whenever I feel like the things that are important to me, or the things that are pressing, they just pop up. They just kind of like pop up out of nowhere, like when I'm doing my meditations or when I'm like driving.
Okay, so I've heard this a lot, and I've heard you say it before. What controls your emotions controls you. Can you explain to us what does that mean?
So basically, I don't care if it's a food that you can't stop eating. I don't care if it's a person that you can't stop messing with. I don't care if it's a situation where you're under you're being controlled by it emotionally. If it's something that has control of your emotions, it controls you. It's like literally your ruler. Like people literally have been like these prestigious people. They have like a lot of status about them, and you can hear about things that they're involved in, and it's completely emotional, and they'll ruin their whole lives over something that's emotional. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like anything that controls you emotionally, that's your ruler. It's like I tell people all the time, like even with all the people being shot on TV, like by the police, like that's done on purpose to get you in the vibration of, a low vibration emotionally, because of that. And so anything that's going to like captivate your emotions and keep you in a certain place, it literally controls you. Like I said, from food to drinking to drugs to people, sex, that you basically anything that you can't balance out can control you.
So then how do we create that balance so those things don't control us?
Well, we just kind of have to understand our triggers. Like sometimes the things that we are emotional about, it comes from a place, a really deep place that we don't recognize on the surface at that point in time. But if you actually take the time to think about it, or time to go back and look at it, it's something that's really beneath the surface that triggers you to to be in that particular feeling emotionally. So we have to basically just align with the what I'm trying to say. It's like we have to understand that a lot of the things that we attach to aren't us. You know what I'm saying? It's like the way our brains are set up. We're really transmitters. So it's like sometimes we'll attach to things that don't have anything to do with us, and we'll start to have these emotions behind it based off of something, like I said, that's under the surface, that's below our surface, that we don't even recognize. Like even with like the politics, like how everybody is so emotional about politics. It's not the politics that they're emotional about. It's the underlining things that they really are that their emotions are attached to, that comes out in the political debates and all that type of thing. Or like you see people on Facebook just yelling or screaming at each other, going back and forth. And it's all of these different emotions that people haven't dealt with, triggered by something, by a common trigger, and it's just chaos. So it's like we have to realize that we have to get ourselves together on an emotional level and understand what's we got to actually figure out who we are emotionally. A lot of people don't even know who they are emotionally. You know what I mean? They don't deal with their emotions. A lot of people tend to suppress their emotions, and then when they come out, when they are when they do come out, when they're triggered, they just kind of explode all over the place.
Yeah, I've done that.
Am I greasy? I feel like I don't mean to cut you off. I feel like I'm greasy sweat because I'm over here drinking a little bit. So if I look like I'm a greasy, just let me know, because I know I'm over here leaking. I feel like I'm hooping or something.
You look fine. It's okay. But I was thinking about what you said about controlling those emotions. I really try to stay out of political debates for that reason, and then I try to get people to just understand that no matter who occupies the White House, I still have to get up and go to work. I still have to take care of my family. I still have to focus on what's important. I have to focus on the things that I can control. So I can't control who's in the White House. I can't control the laws that they put forth. All I can do is adapt to what they do and make the changes, because I got to put my focus on what's important, which is, taking care of my family.
Exactly. That's another big thing as far as, dealing with your emotions or being triggered, is like control what you can control and don't worry about what you can't control, because what you worry about, if you worry about things you can't control, then you're going to always have your mind occupied with things that you feel like is going to bring you down emotionally because you can't control it. So
exactly.
You just have to.
You're right. You're fine. It ends up becoming a waste of time. It's a waste of your brain power. And for you to be a reader and to be an intuitive healer, I would imagine that thinking about things that you can't control really probably diminishes your ability, because you're blocking, you're blocking your signals.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's a big thing that comes up in a lot of people when they come and they get readings. A lot of times that's something that universally pops up with a lot of different people's readings. Like they worry about things they can't control, or they, they put too much on their plate, and they feel like they're obligated to do things that they don't have to do. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. Yeah, I come from a big family, so there's lots of that going on. So you talk about protecting your energy and how it's important to protect your energy. So can you give us some tips on what we can do to protect our energy? How do we protect our mental health?
Basically, watch what you intake. Me personally, I don't watch the news. I don't buy into a lot of the things that are on TV, just because the media has a way of inserting their their feelings into your and their emotions of what they feel like they want you to have. So, you know, I limit the things that I take in. Like I take in things that are like I'm silly. I'm a comedian as well, so I take in a lot of like funny stuff. I try to find out or stay on the lighter side of life. And now that don't mean that, you know, the dark won't creep in or you have to deal with it in a way inauthentic, but at the same time, I just try to stay true to my nature. I'm a bubbly, silly, you know, funny type of person. So I just try to keep those type of, I try to match that energy, you know, as much as I can. Like I know it's not, like I say, I know it's times when I can't, but even when I can't, like even if it's a situation where, you know, it's a heavy situation, I still try to find the lighter silver lining in it. So intake is very big. And then that also, I mean, that's not just with TV. I mean, with the people you deal with, like I don't deal with people who sit and talk about people or, you know, have a lot of envy or, you know, I try to be around people who actually, you know, just they have a vibration about them where it's about expansion and about you know, just love. So it's intake. So intake, that could be, like I said, that's what you're watching, who you're dealing with, even the foods you're eating. Now I'm in the transitioning back into eating healthier. When I was eating healthier, I was very light, a lot of energy. It wasn't hard to you know, find like the good, like, or attached to the good. So intake, I would say that's the one of the biggest things about finding balance is just being aware, being mindful of the things that you take in on different levels.
I like that. So, you know, when it comes to protecting your energy and watching your intake, how do you protect your energy without causing conflicts with the people that are around you, with those people who draw you in, you know, to their drama and to their trauma while you're trying to stay light? How do you fix that without causing, you know, a conflict in the relationship?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I apologize.
It's okay. Well, when it comes to protecting our energy, how do we do that without causing conflicts? You know, like I said, I come from a big family, so when I'm trying to protect my energy, oh, you moving funny, or why you acting like that?
The thing about it is you create your boundaries. Like at a certain point in time, it's like you have your boundaries and you make people aware of your boundaries. And if they don't respect your boundaries, you just X them out. You know what I mean? It's that simple. I know it's a lot. It's a challenge when it comes to certain people in your life, but people who understand where you're trying to go and they have true love for you, they'll respect your boundaries. You know, some people only are attached to you, or some people only see the value in what you can do for them. So when you start to make those changes, they feel like you're acting funny. And that's not the case. You're just doing for you. You being, you know, you're here for you. You're here for you first. You're here for you before you're here for your children. And even though we haven't been taught like that, you can't do for anybody until you're right yourself. So, I mean, if it's a conflict, then they just got to be gone. You just got to quit dealing with them, because you have to have, like, you know, your boundaries. And once people cross those boundaries and they don't respect them, then it's like, okay, it's a breach of contract. You know, it's grounds for dismissal. You got to keep it moving.
I like that. So, one of the other things that you talk about that I found to be profound, if you will, we talk about, you know, taking things personally. So how do we learn to decipher between taking things personal versus what really is personal? How do we know the difference between those two things?
Well, again, it's about, with me, I run everything through a filter of what's my part in this. So it's like once I decide to figure out what's my part in the situation, then it makes it easier for me to decide, you know, how I'm going to move. So I try to look at everything I did and how everything that I did can contribute to a situation. And if I'm wrong, or if I feel like I need to, take a step back. I'm the first one to tell somebody like, hey, look, you know what? I know how it looked, and I thought about it, and I did this wrong. And so it's really, with me, it's more about I try to take an inventory of my part in things. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, with any situation, no matter what it is, I don't ever want to feel like, a victim. I don't want to feel like that. So I know that I have a part to play, that I play a part in whatever situation, and it's always me. Like, that's the thing. Like, I always try to figure out the me part, because if you figure out the you part, that'll be always way easier than trying to figure out somebody else's part in things, and to take accountability for you. And it'll just make you start to see things in a different way, and just kind of move in a way in which it's like, all right, like, how do I don't know, it just kind of keeps it just keeps me on the straight and narrow, just thinking about my part in things.
I like that. So again, that goes back to focusing on what you can control, and you can control your responses. You can control how you move in response to somebody trying to personally attack you. I like that.
Right.
All right, so let's get a little lighter. So you said that you are a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that work? Like, are you ever on stage and like something comes to you while you're trying to tell a joke? Like, how do you do that?
Well, I've been silly. Like, it's funny. Like, I've always been silly. Like, my mom tells me, or she's told me, that I've been like talking about people or saying silly stuff since I was like 2 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like, literally, she told me that. But I remember one time specifically, my uncle, he's really silly too, but he had told me one point in time, he was like, you should be a comedian. And I remember having a thought at the time. I probably was like 12 years old. I remember having the thought, like, I don't even know how to do that. Like, I don't even know, like, where would I even go to become a comedian? Like, how did I even, like, I was just in my mind trying to figure out how. Now, it took me a long time from when I decided that I wanted to do it to actually do it. It took me like 3 years to work my way up to get on stage. But yeah, like, when I'm on, like, I'll have an idea of what I want to say, but the funniest things, the most authentic, organic things come just off the top of my head. So, like, I've been on stage before, and I've had a plan, and like, I literally, sometimes I even forget what it is that I planned on saying. Just get up there and I just start freestyling. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, but
that's funny. I find it hard to believe that, that it doesn't work, because the few times that I have, like, seen your videos on Facebook, and then the one time we did meet in person, you are pretty funny. Like, you are like a big jokester. You were definitely somebody that I probably couldn't be around if I had to be like in a serious minded moment. You couldn't be.
Oh, nah. No. We're gonna mess all that up. I tell anybody that listen, and that's probably gonna sound terrible, but I've laughed at every funeral I've ever been in. Like, literally, every funeral I've ever been, like, I've laughed. Like, I don't care where I'm at, I'm gonna laugh. Like just church. Like, when I used to go to church, like, I always find something funny. Like, old people doing something, somebody scratching their neck silly or anything. Like, it could be anything, and I'm gonna find the humor in it. Like,
yeah,
you can't be sitting next to me, because I'm gonna poke you and I'm gonna like, look at that, look at her wig, and we gonna crack up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, off rip.
That is hilarious. See, I have to definitely make sure that we invite you to the barbecue, because with my family, it's always somebody's always a comedian. Like, some families got the one drunk uncle. I got like 3.
Yeah, me too. I got at least 3.
It's nothing but jokes.
Right.
So, what do you do for self-care? How do you put yourself back together? I know a reading can kind of take a lot out of you spiritually as you're filling up somebody else. So how do you fill yourself back up?
So I got, it's funny you asked that. Well, not funny, but it's just on point. So last week, I had a reflexology appointment, and afterwards, she told me that I should get like pedicures and be more mindful of like my feet, basically pay my feet more attention and give them pamper and stuff like that. So that's what I'm working on. But like the thing I've always done, I just smoke weed. Like that was always my that was my self-care. Like I just sit back and I get high and I'll just let life just float and do what it does as I observe from my third party setting. So I'm working on being more like getting pedicure. Like I'm actually going to get a pedicure on Wednesday, and like sitting in my feet in water, just stuff like that. But and I'll probably be high when I do it. So marijuana.
That is the best self-care assignment I think we've ever had on the show.
It is. Just roll up and then just sit back and watch how everything falls into place.
That is, I'm sitting over here cracking up. Our producer is over here cracking up because I'm thinking to myself like, so now I'm about to use this to my advantage since you're going to go get a pedicure. Right. I've been trying to get this J dude in the chair for a good 20 years. So now I'm about to throw your name in the mix. Brought up in a whole argument, conversation, like, well, like, he can go, why you can't? Oh, yeah. Thank you for the ammunition.
Right. Oh, yeah, no. And I used to be that guy. Like, I used to be that guy. Like, I'm not about to let nobody touch on my feet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my God.
But once you sit there, when you sit there in that massage chair, and the massage, start the massage, and your feet get in that water, ain't nothing skip about it. You just be like, man, why ain't I do this before? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. And then when you walk out of there, you feel bougie because you feel like your feet look good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they feel great. But you feel like they look good. Like, I got them one feet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Them walked across the coals feet. So it's like, the way she did, the way I felt when I think I walked up out of there with like, they give you these little flip-flops with my feet too big. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. It's amazing. Don't feel no kind of way. I don't care what nobody say. I'm going to get my pedicure. That shit, man.
That is
amazing. Like, I ain't getting no polish on my nails or nothing, so don't get that twisted. But at the same time, them feet feel amazing. Like, your feet be like, oh, when you walk up out of there.
Yeah, so I'm about to totally use that for ammunition. So real quick, let's get into this brain science episode, and it's triggered by you as our guest. So why you is a holistic spiritual approach? A holistic approach is essential because everything is energy and everything is connected. Oh, hold on, my picture went away. That is the worst. All right, sorry about that. So,
you good?
A holistic approach is essential because everything is energy and everything is connected. Holistic healing touches every level of our being, the body, emotions, mind, and spirit. Approaching healing spirituality is also essential because the deepest, most profound, and most lasting levels of healing is spiritual healing. Healing alone doesn't produce the complete results. We also need effective, down-to-earth strategies to produce the best possible results in our daily lives. So with these factors in mind, a holistic spiritual approach to healing also includes coaching, and it makes a lot of sense. Anyone who wants to integrate deep, lasting changes into their daily lives can benefit from holistic healing in wonderful ways. So, tell us where to find you. How do we find you? I know you're on Facebook at Chango Rising. Where else can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm not there a lot, but you can leave me a message. I'm an Eternal Student 318 on Instagram. I also have some videos on YouTube on the Real Life Expression where I do a couple spreads. I have a whole spread for like the whole zodiac on different, I forget exactly the spreads I was doing at the time. It's been a while. I'm actually about to start putting those back up. But yeah, like I didn't do it today, but I'll drop a spread on the days I'm off of work. I'll drop a daily spread just so everybody know what the energy is like. But yeah, Chango Rising on Facebook, Eternal Student 318 on Instagram, on Facebook. I mean on YouTube, on Real Life Expression, and yeah, inbox me if you need a reading or if you want to chop it up, got a question or anything like that. I'm pretty open. It might take me a little time sometimes because, I'll be out and about, but I'll get back with you.
All right, so our producer says to wrap, but we got to wrap this up. So I'm going to wrap it up with our Mindfulness Minute for this episode. It's the power of action. I have within me the ideas that I need to change in my world. I take my divinely created creativity and put it to work on this day. You have all an inspiration that you need to improve your life. You can improve your relationships, your finances, your career, your health, and anything you may wish to change. Stop the rumination and act. Stop planning and act. Stop weighing the options and act. Stop making lists, which is what I do. I'll make a list in a minute, but act on it. Stop prioritizing and act. A little bit of doing will be more worthwhile than sitting in indecision, which is actually a soothing, comforting enemy in disguise. It is better to take the wrong action than to do nothing at all. So perhaps as you read this or listen to us, your heart leaps at something left undone. Maybe you put something that really matters to you on the back burner. Delay kills all plans. Better to be foolish and alive than to be prudent and embalmed. Go ahead and give 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour, a day maybe, to live the life of your dreams. This is your engraved invitation to a more abundant life.
That's facts.
Like that was powerful.
That's facts. That's the biggest thing that I struggle with. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I said earlier, like I'll have the thoughts. I have it planned out, and then I'm thinking about the thoughts and the plans, and then I'm thinking about the plans and the thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just take that action, and that's what I'm working on, being better at myself. So that's big facts.
I like that. So I gotta thank you again for joining us. You definitely have to come back, and when this pandemic ends,
I can't wait.
You have to come join us in the Fly With Us studio, because
for sure,
the humor through the computer, I need that face-to-face interaction. I need that good belly laugh that you bring when I see you. So definitely come on, Corona. And
for sure, I can't wait. I appreciate y'all for having me. I'm honored to be able to be on here and give my insights and my thoughts about things. So definitely shout out to the Come Fly With Us podcast. Fly With Us podcast.
Same thing, that'll work.
I appreciate y'all. I know. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all big time.
All right, so with that being said, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud, Apple, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And you can always email us at flywithusla@gmail.com. On behalf of my other two co-hosts, thank you again. And we out of here.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
Oh, yeah, we definitely gonna link. We gonna link. Have a good one.
I like it.